Hi, welcome to Outlier Live. So today we'll talk about Apple, China, and US economy. So let's dive into it. So I wanted to read a little bit about a brief history about like how Apple started in China, what's their relationship is like, why there has been a lot of pressure on Apple stock just because there was some negative news from China, right? So I decided to read a bit about it, and I found this interview from back uh, in 2010 where Steve Jobs interviewed with one of the reporter here. So here you can see a little bit about how Apple got started. There was a time when Apple was about 90 days away from going bankrupt. This was back in the day before they launched their, iPod, not iPad, iPod. And if you read here, the country, the China, the country had a massive low wage labor force and had developed manufacturing and engineering expertise. In 2001, Apple brokered a partnership with China. The Chinese government poured billions of dollars into new infrastructure for Apple, building factories, paving new roads, construction of housing for Apple workers, etc. So there was a time when if they ask for, hey, I need a new airport, Apple needs a new airport to ship more products, Chinese government will actually build it for them. So the relationship was that deep because they were providing the expertise on how to build these chips, how to build these new phones. And Chinese of course were got inspired and built some of these other companies around them over a period of time. But they like literally helped Apple to create this whole ecosystem, right? And that is one of the reason Apple is so profitable, just because they have this massive ecosystem of like how they produce these chips, how they assemble these iPhones and different hardware, and how they ship to different part of the world. So China actually played a major role in Apple's success. But if you see, if you keep on reading this uh, news, this interview here, there was still a concern about the dependency on China, which we are seeing today. Because when your relationships are good with the country, right, and you are dependent on that country, everything is good. Apple was going up. 2014, 15, 16, started going up. But now, recently, after COVID, because of this geopolitical tension, there has been strains in the relationship, and Apple is right now in the middle of it. Why? Because even if there is a small negative news from China, you will see an impact on Apple's stock. So that is one of the reason Apple is trying to get out of, diversify its supply chain. Like Apple is going in Vietnam, Apple is going in India, and so many other places. So let's look into this recent iPhone 15 launch, because I wanted to know how the Chinese market is reacting to it. So if you guys have read about Huawei's recent launch, they recently launched a 7 nanometer chip, which is kind of gaining a lot of traction, especially in Chinese market. I mean, right now the way people are like split over there, they wanted to support the local brand, right? They wanted to support Huawei's new phone, and they are batting big on it. On the other hand, if you look into it, this huge gamer market, army of mobile gamers, they are preferring Apple's iPhone 15. Why? Because it has this new 3 nanometer chip. So remember, Huawei's chip is 7 nanometer, and Apple is has their 3 nanometer chip, where what they are saying that the games like Resident Evil 4 remake can be played on the device, which is very very appealing to these gamers. Remember, China has one of the most like number of gamers in the world, like you know then there are some other countries which has like India and few other Asian countries. But China has one of the top is on the top in terms of how many gamers are there. So that is huge actually. And then you have this geopolitical tension between, Huawei and China. But personally, I don't see that there is going to be a very big impact. Yes, there will be some impact on the sales may be flat, right? But overall it may not impact a lot in the long term. And in fact, I was reading about this news that there was a recent ban on Chinese iPhone, especially in the government department. But I was reading this Reuters news just yesterday night, and it says China has not issued laws, regulations, or policy documents that prohibit the purchase and use of foreign brand phones such as Apple. So, this statement is coming from their foreign minister, Mao Ning. So, I don't know what's happening, like who is pushing hard on, hey, China banned these iPhones. I see a lot of negative news around that, right? I am sure because of this geopolitical tension, there is, they are more aware of, they are like, okay, encouraging, they may be encouraging their employees, hey, use the local brand, just because people want to support local brands. So I don't know, someone must be pushing this news that, hey, Apple, China just banned the iPhone. So I have been reading about that news, and which actually caused the recent drop in Apple stock. But I think in coming weeks this news may die down, just because what their foreign ministry just said. So let's see how that impacts Apple's stock in coming days, weeks. But one thing, when I look into Outliers dashboard, if you believe in Apple, if you believe Apple is a good company, right? And if you are an investor, if you are an investor who is like, okay, I'm a passive investor, I keep on adding good companies in my portfolio. Again, this is not an investment advice, but right now I personally see that there is a good time to load on Apple stock. This is just me personally thinking after looking at Outliers dashboard. So again, we'll know in coming weeks, months, how Apple is doing. But my guess is that Apple, we may be seeing Apple at the close to the bottom, and it may turn around very soon. All right, let's talk about inflation. So looks like the inflation is going down, but the energy, because of the energy rising energy cost and rising food cost, it has ticked up a little bit. But all in all, I'm seeing going the inflation is going in the positive side. It's going down, and I believe the Fed is going to pause the rate hike. It's not just me who is saying that. It's banks like JP Morgan and other banks. They are betting big that Fed is probably not going to hike the rates this coming cycle. Let me give this a little bit political twist. You know that elections are coming, right? We all know that elections are coming, and the economy need to look good. The economy need to look good. Otherwise, Democrats may lose face. Okay, again, I am thinking from a third person, a consumer, right? As a consumer, do I see a benefit, right, in this? Yes, I may. Why? Because they want the economy to look good. The current government, they want economy to look good, while the opposition want to focus on how bad is the economy. So that is politics, right? So you have two parties, they're fighting over economy. But because the current government wanted to make it look good, you may see a little pressure on Fed. I don't know whether they can influence Fed or not. That's beyond my comprehension. But if it happens, you may see, you and I as a consumer, we may see that Fed may pause the rates, right? It may start going down. They may start tapering it off from 20 early 2024, and consumers like us may start seeing benefits. Stock market may bounce back because they want good stock market, they want good employment numbers, they, of course, they want inflation to be, in control, right? So I think it's kind of going in the right direction from the political standpoint as well. So I have some hopes about, Fed pausing the rates. So that's just my personal view. What do you guys think? Let me know, and I will talk to you next week.